Hey guys, uh, I want to make a video about something that bothers me like crazy. And this is basically when we grew up, we are told so many lies about life and about reality as that insane. Uh, and we are told lies by our parents, lies by society, by the schools we attend to. Basically, I'm not even talking about the media and fake news. That's pretty much the least that impacting your life. And I will talk about my own personal experience. Uh, it is possible that your case is different, but to me, I had to realize that those lies were damaging me and making those lies made sure that it's not like I fail, but I not progress and I will not fulfill who I am and what I'm trying to do and what I should do in life. So I'm not saying those lies are malevolent all the time. Sometimes I think the motivation behind can be different depending on who we're talking about. I realized that my parents did not teach me really useful stuff at all, and because they didn't know any better. One very good example is the idea of being just just being an honest worker and being an honest and hard worker. If your parents are an honest and hard workers, then I think that's what they will teach you, and they think that's the key to survival. And that may be true to some extent, but if you have the slightest motivation to go beyond that and you want to do something with your life, something that you think is useful or something greater or something different, then you will have a crazy time and you will suffer a lot, because whatever it's taught to you at an early age when you're a kid will basically define you for the rest of your life. Anything that requires change will require an enormous amount of energy, and not even that, a huge amount of time to correct, even decades. We're talking about years or even decades to fix that. Me personally, I know that a few of those things that I wanted to fix in my own world of view or mindset, they took me to, first of all, to realize, because no one really is helping you with the world. But then to fix it or try to amend it, most likely you won't be able to change it. When you get to a certain age, it's very difficult to change who you are. Um, and I guess this change and this correction will last even until you live, until you die. All in your life, this will keep going on. So I will have a few videos about these lies because there are many of them. I will go with the most obvious ones. Um, the first one is that I just mentioned that you should be an honest and hardworking man. That just guarantees that you will be a slave of labor. This means that you will have enough money to pay the bills, but not more. And this guarantee the labor structure we have today guarantees that you will have to come back next month and obey, and this will continue until you die, basically. This is very sick. I don't think it's healthy. I think it's quite damaging. And basically, my parents taught me that, uh, and it just kills my soul, I might say. I I don't like it to the extent where it actually caused me pain. So that was one. I had to realize that later in my life. I had a pretty successful career, I might say, as a technology individual, and I know most people would say, "Oh, technology that must be good. It pays well, etc., etc." But it never pays you enough to be free. It never. That's that. True that you get more than what a plumber can do in terms of salary, but it will never pay you enough to be free and do what you want to do. Um, and After a while, I had to realize that this is not what I want to do for many, many reasons. I want to do my own thing. I want to work for myself. I want to create value for myself and for my loved ones. And I want to do something that I enjoy. Technologies used to be very exciting. I'm not saying it's not that exciting anymore. It's still okay, but it just became an overpopulated, overcrowded area. Everybody thinks that that's where money is. You guys see the ads and all the public messages about, you should become a programmer because that's the future and that's where the money is and that's very interesting. Nah, I don't think that's true, to be honest. I think we already have way too many technology guys, and there are so many of them who are just very good at pretending. There are some very good ones, but the majority are not about doing stuff. They are social hackers, I might say. They know how to sell themselves and how to present themselves, and this has nothing to do with technology. By the way, that's another very interesting thing, that this is something no one really tells you when you grow up. That this is the single most important attribute that you can have, is how to present yourself and how to sell yourself. It doesn't matter what sector you work in. When you work in technology, you think that just because you know technology, that should put you on a successful path within technology, and this couldn't be farther from the truth. Everything is about humans. No matter what you do, everything will involve humans. So the single most important thing is to learn how to communicate with people and learn how to manipulate people. That sounds evil, right? But I think that's true. It's very interesting. Where's the line between influencing people and manipulating people? I think this is an interesting question. So anyway, that was my first observation, that they train you, and so I understand the motives. My parents taught me a lot of stupid things and lies because they didn't know any better. They were in a situations where their parents taught them, etc., etc., etc. So they just pass down the so-called knowledge that they are aware of, even though it's a very, very troublesome and unhealthy concepts of living a life. This is one. The second one I want to talk about, by the way, the other one is what I was mentioning, is society, which I mean by the schools. They teach you a lot of crazy, stupid things that just has nothing to do with life. And just if you think about it, you spend the majority of your life in the first 20, 25 years, depending on how far you go, but you spend the majority of your life listening to people in the schools. So their world of view and the stuff that they teach you is just absolutely crazy how dominant that will be for the rest of your life. So schools, I think the schools are teaching you to be a member of society who will not cause trouble. So just fit in, cut your wings. You don't need to fly. You just need to be one of the million, and just don't ask. Just do what I tell you. And this is what the society wants you to believe, that this is the way to go. It's another interesting question. When to me this is very annoying. To me this is extremely annoying, because if you have the slightest amount of creativity in you, if you have the slightest amount of motivation to do something different, then these things will kill you. These things will take your soul and just murder your soul, and they will turn you into a zombie. And that's what society wants you to be. They don't need creative thinkers. They don't need thinkers. They need people who follow and consume. And I'm not talking about. It's an interesting question whether this is part of the capitalist idea. Um, I'm not sure about that. Probably a little bit, but that would be an interesting comparison, like how socialism and capitalism differs from this angle. I think controlling the society is pretty much in every single uh, society form. It's not just it's in all society form. So yeah, so your parents didn't know any better. Society obviously wants to keep the structure of society, and in order to do that, they have to have 99.9% of the people just sheep and followers, and not thinkers and not doers. Just do whatever they tell you to do. Don't question it. Um, and and these are the motives that basically makes them to teach you stuff that you will become just one of those zombies. And if that works for you, if you're enjoying the life of a zombie and you're happy with your Netflix subscription, then it's fine. It's good. If that's enough for you, if that makes you happy, I might say. If that doesn't make you happy, if that makes you, in my experience, that there's a huge disadvantage of this lifestyle, and there's a huge disadvantage of this um, way of life that we live today, which is we don't think about who we are at all. Like, this is not part of our life. There's no class about thinking, okay, so who are you? This should be the number one question. That it's not like thought, because no one can teach you who you are, but at least just raise some questions. Like, give time to think about who you are. No one cares about that. No one tells you that this is important. So you're basically living a life which is not your life. You are living a life which is a life, was designed to fit in society. And the problem with that is that this works until you follow the path of society. If you go through schools. By the way, another lie: get good grades, right? Because that takes you somewhere in life. That's another huge lie. Like, you have to learn hard, you have to study hard, you have to have good grades, you have to be okay in school. This is crazy. Like, most people, it actually is, I think, the total opposite. So the interesting thing is that those people will become successful who violate these rules and who gave a crap about these rules. They just do whatever they want. And those people who obey will be their employees, and there will be their slaves. This is just crazy. Anyway, where was I? I'm sorry. I don't know. I lost my. Uh, anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about now. This is already a 13 minutes video, so I think that's enough for that video. But I will continue on this because this is pretty big, and this is if you're a thinker. Like me, I'm a thinker. I enjoy thinking. By the way, I remember where I was. I was about, like, the most important thing is that who you are. That's where we should start this whole journey. Like, that you should not study geography and chemists and physics and math, even though I love those. I mean, those are really exciting. But you should not start to learn any of those until you know who you are. And this is something that no one really cares about, like who you are. No one tells you that this is the key to everything. Otherwise, you will not know what you're picking. You don't know if you're going to like it. And especially, yeah, I remember now. So the thing is, this works as long as you can remain on the track what society puts you on. But as soon as you lose the track, as for whatever reason, something happens in your family, something happens with you, that something happens with the context, the environment you live in. There are many reasons why the path can be blocked for whatever reason. Then you see all the people, just stop and wandering around like 30, 40, 50 years old. And they're like, so what am I supposed to do now? I don't know. Like, I know I had a track. I knew how to survive on that track. That's the only thing I knew, by the way. No one taught me how to create my own path. No one told me what am I supposed to go for. And now I'm not on the track, and I don't know what am I supposed to do. I don't know which track am I supposed to choose. I don't know who I'm at, who I am, and that's a big problem. That's a huge problem. That's insane, really. And the later it gets, you probably the worse, because like, okay, so I spend my life doing things that I don't even care about. Is this a good thing? I don't think so. And then comes the interesting part, what society don't want to talk about. Is like, the suicidal rates, the mass shootings, etc., etc., etc. People, we call them, uh, uh, mental health, like that, and we label those people who do so-called odd things as they had mental health issues. But the problem is, I'm not sure that's true. The mental health issue only means that, I mean, of course, there are situations, I'm not saying there are no mental health issues and diseases that can turn you into a monster. There must be some biological, whatever, which can screw your brain in a way that you will, become a total, I don't know, a weird person. I'm not saying that's not possible, but the majority of the cases, I don't think are like that. We just don't want to look into the situation, into the context. We don't want to understand the reason. By the way, that's another interesting thing that I think today, what we do is, if we see something that we want to distance ourselves from, then we just put a label on it, and we say, okay, that's it. Like, all right, so he was crazy. Unbelievable how many times you hear this. When some unpleasant thing happens, some people go around and, for example, stab people or shoot people. And they say, okay, he was crazy. He had mental health issues. He had mental issues. And no, this is not the answer. This is completely wrong. You should try to understand that person. Like, what was his motive? What? Everyone, I know it sounds crazy, but everyone had their own reason why they do things. Every single one of us. It's just easier to say, he was sick. That just means I don't want to care about. I don't want to spend time and energy understanding what happened with that person. And probably, if you would find out what happened to that person, and people would understand. Okay, so that means that could reveal stuff about the health of our society, not just as the individual, which might impact you as well, even though you didn't know, or you have no idea. So, yeah, what we should do is we should find out why those things happen, and we should try to understand everyone. I think that's typically a very, very good approach, in my opinion. Is that, if you see someone that appears to be crazy, please don't dismiss it. Please don't ignore it. Please don't pretend that the reason why he's acting like this is because he's sick. He might be, but I think the majority of the cases we just don't understand his motive or her motive. You have to understand. You have to dig deep. You have to understand the motive. That can. Otherwise, you're just scratching the surface. You're really not doing anything to that person. You're not helping them. You're not helping yourself, and you're not helping the society. That's how I see. Anyway, I was talking about too many things in this video, but I just wanted to start a video about that. It really bothers me is how many lies were taught as kids. By everybody around us, and it takes a lifetime to correct that. I also have a interesting video about a question that I had. I personally don't have any kids, and I have a few friends who have kids, and I asked them this question, and we're going to talk about this in another video. If you would have to choose between two, like whether you want to raise your kids as successful bullies or or uh, uh, or unsuccessful good people, then which one you would go with, or which one you are going with. That's a very interesting topic, and we'll talk about this later. If you have opinion on this, or if you are a parent and you know the answer of what you're doing and why you do it, more importantly, then please share your story. So anyway, that's it for now, guys. Thank you for watching. Sendai out.